Hey guys, it's Brandy with Eternal Harvest, and today I'm going to show you how I made this barn door with glass inserts. Stick around. Okay, so the first thing I did was take some 1x6 white pine boards, and they're pre-primed just to make it a little easier on myself. And I realized they weren't really square, so I pulled out my joiner to join up those edges a little bit and make sure I could get them to align properly. If you don't have a joiner, it's okay. You can use a table saw, rip those edges down, and that should help. Then I took out my Kreg Jig and set that to 3/4 inch stock, so that I could attach the frames all together or create the frame. If you're unsure how to use the Kreg Jig pocket hole system, you can check out an earlier video that I made on a step-by-step how to use it. It's pretty simple and it's really helpful, and in this process pocket holes were necessary. So here I'm pocket holing the side pieces that will go across and create the width of the boards. This part's a little bit tedious but necessary, and essentially I'm creating two frames for this barn door that I will sandwich together to hold in the glass and the bottom panels. So once that's done, I actually had to do a couple extra pocket holes because my bolt slipped a little bit and some of the pocket hole drilling went too far. So I had to make a couple more holes than was necessary, unfortunately. But it still worked out. The glue will hold, it should be fine. So I attached all of those to make two frames. And this is a pretty big barn door. It ended up being 54 inches by 83 inches. So it's pretty wide, but standard in height. My favorite glue is titebond 2, so I'm using that here, and then 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws to attach these frames. And I just layered them on top of each other while I was putting them together because I'd like them to align perfectly. This is the downside to owning a jointer. Boy, it makes a mess, but it's kind of fun to vacuum them up. Also, for my garage organization series, I mounted an extension cord pulley to the ceiling, and gosh, that's been a lifesaver. If you guys are interested in things like that, go check out my organizational series. There's some easy tips and tricks that you could use to make your life a little bit easier. And here I'm just finishing up the second frame and lining those up as well as I can. I decided to flip it over and mark the bottom piece so that I could make sure that when I sandwich them together, they fit perfectly. Now I bought some 1/8 inch sanded plywood for the bottom panels of this door. So here I'm going to use the table saw and rip those down to 22 inches, I believe, by 34 inches. Now this table saw bench is a new addition to my shop as well, and it's going to be part of my garage reorganization series. So if you're interested, take a look. Now here I'm going to route out the grooves where the glass will lay. I measured the depth of the glass and it's only 1/8 of an inch. So I marked my router, and I'm just going around the edges just enough so that the glass will sit down inside one side of the door. I'm hoping to be able to silicone and sandwich the glass inside the two pieces just to hold it secure and hopefully make it so that there isn't any breaking when the door opens and closes, or if it gets slammed, or even in transport. So I wanted them to lay flat, and I'll finish routing out the rest of both sides. I actually had my glass pieces cut at Lowe's. I tried a glass shop and a couple other places, and it was a lot more expensive, and I was going to have to wait for about a week to receive my pieces. I was in a hurry, so that worked out well, and I was thankful that Lowe's cut them for me. So here I'm just dry fitting everything to make sure that it sits flush and works before I attach the other panel. I I realized that my bottom panels were a little bit thicker and I needed to reroute those grooves, which I did. Then I flipped everything over and sanded all of my joints before I primed. For my primer, I really like to use Bullseye Primer by Zinsser, and I just buy the cans if it's a small project, and this was already pre-primed lumber, so I just need to prime my joints and anywhere that I've sanded and touch up with the primer, which I'm doing here. And my client brought me a specific white paint that she wanted to match her home, so that is what I'm putting on here. I believe it's Chantilly Lace by Sherwin-Williams. It's a really pretty color. I love it. Next it'll be time to put the glass in and the panels in, so I asked my husband to come help me flip and put them up on blocks so that the clamps would fit when I sandwiched the two pieces together. Here I'm installing the glass, and I'm putting some clear silicone all the way around each piece just to give it a little bit of give and buffer protection when being moved or bumped. I'm hoping this will do that. It goes on white. This is a really cool silicone. It goes on white, and then as it dries clear. So it's helpful so you can see what you're doing throughout the process. For the bottom panels, I just used some regular wood glue, kneaded that around the outside, and then laid those. For the adhesive, I decided to go with this Loctite heavy-duty construction adhesive. It bonds to all materials and is supposed to set in a few minutes. I've never used Loctite before, but boy, it worked really well. This part here is because Loctite a lot of work sometimes. So if you have an extra pair of hands, have them help hold it in place. I also set in the middle a little bit just to make sure those middle pieces really cure well. Set together. I didn't want any gaps. These pony jerkins are awesome. I feel like I have a big gold clamps now. They were fun to use and they did the trick perfectly. You can find a bunch of the pony jerkins in the line at Lowe's now and Lowe's.com if you're interested. So now that everything's clamped, I decided to go make my family dinner. Even though it's a quick cure time, I still need to paint with metal the bottom panels together so nicely. You can see here that there's no gaps between where the glass is. I think the silicone will help the glass from bumping around inside there. And everything came together just how I envisioned. Overall, I'm really happy with the end result. And that's it. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll put everything that I used in the description below, and I'll see you next time.